Hi everyone, last week I went out for a morning's mudlark and this video is going to be all about what I found that morning. So I hope you enjoy it and then I'll see you back here later for a little roundup. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone, it's a pretty high low tide today, but I've popped down to see what I can find and I'm hopeful that we'll find a few bits and pieces. It's always exciting right at the beginning of a mudlarking excursion because you have that sense of anticipation. You just don't know what you might find. You know you'll find something, even if it's the tiniest button. So let's go and see what the tide has left out today, if indeed it's left anything out. Now I have spotted something down here. It's just between some rocks and it looks like a button. Look. There it is. Let's go and have a closer look. Kind of mangled, but that looks to me like a general service military button. I think. I found a few of those. I'll have to get the rest out and have a look, compare it. Whether it's World War I or World War II, I'm afraid I don't know. My expertise doesn't extend that far. Well, that's a nice first find. I wonder who wore that, whose jacket it popped off of. Now just down here is a lead seal for a post bag. Doesn't look terribly interesting, and I suppose in a way it's not, but I found a few of these in the past and they've had the names of the places on where the post bags belong to. I'm just scraping around here in the gravel and I came across this, which at first I thought was just a piece of bent wire, but actually it's a tiny ring, I think. A tiny ring. Let's have a look there. Looks like it looks like it actually does say something in there. It's probably the hallmark. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. But it's a tiny ring. That must have been a child's ring. It's bent out of shape and perhaps there was a stone in it at some point. But I can make out on there, some tiny letters, so probably, like I said, probably the hallmark. Actually, I do have a magnifying glass in my... Oops, where's it gone? Here it is. I do have a magnifying glass in my bag. I'll get it out and have a look. How cute. Yes, here I am with my very modern magnifying glass. I've had a look and I'm pretty certain that it's the hallmark, but I shall examine it closely when I get home. Pretty little find though. I wonder who wore that. Just down here there's a big piece of shrapnel. From the anti-aircraft guns. Just give it a little rinse off. This looks quite pretty. Something ornamental about it, but I've no idea what it is. Part of something at some point. I'll have to clean it up. It's curious when you find these bits of metal that obviously at some point had a purpose, and then in this state I don't really know what they are. There's a little fishing weight here. I'm looking at this here, wondering if it's anything. I'm wondering if this is anything. Probably not. Let's see. Again, it probably had a function at some point in its life. I'll take it with me, clean it up, see what it was. I've just seen the edge of something down here. It does look like another button, actually. Let's have a closer look. Just gonna kneel down. It's just here. And yes, so it is another button. I wonder what button it is. Oh, this one is different. Oh, good. Now this gives us something to look up. That's interesting. Sorry, get it in the camera. Oh, now that gives us something to look up. It's a crown, and it is, what's that? Looks like PP or something. It's got a maker's mark on the back. That's Firmin, London, and a beautiful button. Yes, there is a little glass bead here. A bit broken, but it's pretty. Now I can see a couple of things here. There's one of my favourite kinds of finds. It's a vulcanite bottle stopper. Here. Now this is unlike the round kind of vulcanite bottle stopper. It came afterwards. It was patented by somebody else who designed them so that the bottle stoppers could be put in with a machine. The machine gripped the top bit there. Now this one is marked Banks, which is interesting because they're often marked with something else. I can't remember the name now. But anyway, this one is Banks, so I'll have to look up Banks and see who they were. Now I'm also looking at this, which is like a part of some braces or something. Not wildly exciting, but I might be able to use it in something, maybe a collage. I've just seen something interesting just here, look. Just here. A little decorative piece of metal. That is so pretty. I don't know what it is, maybe part of some kind of belt, maybe. Or a necklace. It's funny when you're scraping away and you find the tiniest things. I've just found a horse's leg. So there's definitely a little hoof there. Look, I can see another vulcanite bottle stopper in there. Let's dig it out, see if it's got a brewery's name or anything on it. Let's get it out, have a look. Oh, it's got something on it. Let's see, give it a little rinse in a rock pool. This one say? Ah, okay, interesting. This one says R.P. Cully and Co. Limited. I don't think I've seen one of those before. I shall look them up. Vulcanite bottle stoppers were, as most of you probably know, the first screw-top bottle top, and they're made out of rubber and sulphur heated to a very high temperature. And one of these days I'm going to do a video about vulcanite bottle stoppers because they are just so interesting. And the one we found a little while ago with banks on it, that came after this round one, so that they could be put into the bottle in an automated way with a machine. I've been having a scrape around and I have just noticed this round edge poking out from behind the stone. So it's always exciting seeing a round edge. It's probably a coin, maybe a penny I should think, looking at it. It does feel very thin though. Yeah, it's very worn. Oh, now look what's hiding under here. It's a little marble. Just here, there's part of a tiny earring, look. It's a clip-on. And it's still got a tiny stone in it. And just here I've just prized out part of a, well, it's not part of, it's a whole wheel. Looks like it's a lead wheel, maybe from an old train set. Now down here there's a little piece of pottery sticking out, and I just gave it a little sort of wiggle to see if there was anything on the other side. And there is! And look, it's really interesting. It's like a bird head. That's just fantastic. I'm going to have to give this a wash so that we can have a closer look at it. So unexpected. Okay, let's give this a little rinse. Yes, look at that. Isn't that wonderful? It must be like an egg cup or something. The little bird head on the side. Perfect. There's another shoe down here. I might be a bit more fortunate with this one because it looks as if it's in a slightly sturdier state. I'm going to see what I can retrieve of this shoe. And yes, this has been a lot more successful, and I'm pretty certain that this must be a 19th or 20th, early 20th century shoe. It's got the reinforcements on the bottom. I'm going to take it back and give it a little clean up. See how it comes up. Okay, well, I'm here on the foreshore. It's the evening, the tide is on the way in, and it's really beautiful down here. And I thought, okay, I'm going to bring my stuff down here and do a little roundup. And actually, there are some really interesting bits and pieces, and so it just goes to show you think you're not finding very much, and actually, when you get home and start looking, you realise you've got a real little treasure trove of items. So very quickly I'm going to go through most objects. This button here, which I thought was a general service military button, it is in fact a Port of London Authority button. When I cleaned it off I noticed that it wasn't the lion and the unicorn, but in fact it's two other creatures dating back to the early 20th century, I think. And there is also, and I've written it down, there is also a motto on the bottom which says, I've written it down, it says Floreat Imperi Portus, which means may the port of the empire flourish. And so it's the coat of arms of the Port of London Authority, so that's pretty interesting. So always great to find buttons and look up the history behind them. Now, I have this other button here, which I do not know what it stands for. It looks like two P's. So if anybody knows what that button is, please let me know. Now, the little ring, I'm quite excited about actually, because I think it could be gold. I think it could be gold. I looked at the hallmark inside and it says 901 and then S11, and from what I can understand, S11 relates to a diamond, and believe it or not, there is actually a tiny weeny diamond in this ring, and I think it's gold. I think the 901 refers to the gold, so that is a really beautiful tiny weeny little diamond gold ring. Would you believe it? I think I'm right. If anybody knows anything about that 901 S11, please let me know. In this little tiny weeny finds bag here, I've also got that little bit of buckle, here, or bracelet maybe. By the way, I'm sorry about the wind, but there's not a lot I can do about it at the moment. There's also the tiny little piece of earring in there in the tiny bag. What else? Okay, I've got my 2 vulcanite bottle stoppers. One of them has got RP Cully on it, and apparently, I wrote this down as well, RP Cully stands for Richard Palethorpe Cully. From Cardiff. He had some grocer shops and some catering contracts, and he was also a philanthropist in Cardiff during the sort of mid 19th century. So there we are, so that's very nice. And then this later vulcanite bottle stopper with banks on it, and Riley is the one who patented these screw top vulcanite bottle stoppers. So earlier version patented by Henry Barrett, later version patented by Riley. So that's those. Now, what else do we have of any consequence? Interesting little pipe bowl here. I haven't seen that design before. A lead wheel from a train. A plastic ball. A post bag seal, lead seal. I'll see if I can find some others and put some pictures of some more interesting ones up. This, which is just an interesting piece of metal, which I've cleaned off. Now I also picked up this, and I didn't sort of film it at the time, but that's like a little snake button, not a button, a snake buckle. So that's quite interesting, probably from the early 20th century. We've got a piece of shrapnel, probably World War II shrapnel. What else? This coin here, which is a penny, and I think it's from 1927, I think. Just about make it out, but it's very, very worn. What else? This little interesting piece of ornate metal, which has come off of something. A tiny horse leg. This, some kind of clip. What else? A tiny bead. And there's a few other little bits and pieces of no particular consequence. There's a fishing weight as well. And of course, I mustn't forget my shoe, which, look how it's come up. Isn't that great? And I'm pretty certain it's a shoe, probably from the early 20th century. On the bottom there, it's got the reinforced heel, and you can see all the little nails on the bottom there. It's someone's work shoe, and it's been so well preserved in the mud. Gave it a good wash and then put it out on the windowsill to dry, and it's come out very nicely. I don't think I've forgotten anything, but as you can see, a lovely morning, a great morning with some really interesting finds, particularly the buttons. And so if you know where that button with the PP on it comes from, please let me know. I'd love to know that. And if you have any info on any of the other bits, I'd love to hear from you. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your comments and feedback on my last video. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye.
Half asleep in between, on my way to the round of the living. Seek your eyes right here beside. Would you come with me? The sun's rising and we go ooh, ooh, ooh. There's a way